Hello and welcome to the third installment of the Subject Podcast. I'm Mike, joined with my co-host Chris.
Third installment, mate. Love it.
Yeah,
Great.
right. I've been practicing that intro.
You've been practicing for the last
all
week.
night last night.
Yes, welcome.
Sounds kind of professional.
Kind of. That's as professional as you get. Is kind of professional.
Yeah. I only do one night's effort on the night before, right?
The night before.
It's
That's
uni
what
all
we,
over again.
the only thing that we do, mate.
All right, so in this episode, we will be talking about serial killers.
Well,
we have each chosen hitmen, basically paid hired killers.
Yeah, they fall under the serial killer category because they killed a lot of people.
Yes.
But they didn't do it for, well, ostensibly they didn't do it for the thrill of the kill per se.
Yeah, to a degree.
I'm not going to spoil any of it because we want to talk about it. But
today, it's going to be a bit wild. And after this, we'll be talking about random phobias.
Yes, we've got a book here by Richard Waters. It's called Phobias.
Revealed and explained. So we're going to pick random pages out of this book and read out some of the phobias. And
there are some pretty funny phobias.
There's some pretty funny things in there. There's some weird stuff to be scared of.
There is. It's very funny. And yeah, we'll be asking for you guys to talk about your phobias. I know we posted on Facebook a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
If you haven't already commented on that, please do. We'd love to hear what your weird and wacky phobias are.
Yeah, we've heard some interesting ones from some friends and some other people. Some of you guys.
There are some interesting ones for sure. I'm hoping we can find some weirder ones with this book though, because it's going to be funny. But first, let's talk about the people that ruined other people's lives.
For money.
For money. It was all for the money.
It was for the money.
Both of these guys actually hitmen for Italian mafia.
Yeah, so we've basically chosen random hitmen. Yours being the Iceman.
My form of study, I like to call it. I was studying.
Research.
My research revolved around the Iceman, who was known as Richard Kuklinski. He was an American hitman employed by the Di Cavalcante family and the Gambino family, among others.
And I have come across a Sicilian and Italian hitman. It goes by Evola. Mostly
did
because...
Did you say Ebola or Evola?
Evola.
Evola. Okay, so not the D, disease.
It's an A.
It's an A, okay.
It's an A for Evola.
Evola, not Ebola. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Yes. Although, no, Ebola's done worse than this guy.
Yeah, I think so.
But mostly I'm going to refer to him as Evola because I find it very hard to pronounce his first name.
I mean, you were talking to me about all this stuff before we started recording, and it seemed like you were struggling with the pronunciation.
With these Italian names, to be honest. So I'm gonna cut some of them a bit short. But so Evola, right?
Yes, let's go.
He joined the Sicilian Mafia in 1983.
Okay.
Over the 11 years of being in the Mafia, he killed 80 people.
Shit, that's a lot of people to kill in just over a decade.
Yeah, and it was all paid. So this guy started making bulk money. But we'll get to that later. So he joined the Sicilian Mafia in 1983, where he killed his first person on their behalf, and that's when he was inducted into the family. He started off by working for his dad. Before the first kill, he started working for his dad in the family restaurant. And he basically decided that this isn't what he wants to do.
Bored with it. Want to go out and kill some motherfuckers.
He didn't want to go to school. He didn't want to learn anything. He just wanted to basically feel power and do whatever he wanted. So down the road, 100 meters, was a member of the Sicilian Mafia.
Oh, goody.
So he started basically doing robberies, carjackings, all that kind of stuff, just some petty theft and all that. And then this guy who lived down the road started taking notice and said, well, look, if you do this job for us, then we can help you out. We can get you into the family. So he did. Basically, the guy that he killed was a lawyer who had spoken out against the mafia boss.
Fucking lawyers,
the
man.
Godfather, essentially. And so he spent a few weeks following him, learning about him and everything like that. And on the day where he was going to kill him, he was sitting outside of his house waiting for him to come out, and it was basically just going to be a shoot, run, like hit the road, get out of there kind of thing. So when the guy stepped out of his house, he was with his wife and his kids, and he decided, all right, well, I can't just shoot him here.
Can't do it in front of his family.
So he followed him around on his bike, and then at the point where he felt that he could, he cut him off on his bike, got off his bike, pulled out a gun, told him to get out of the car. The guy basically started begging for his life, and he shot him in the shoulder. So he was very hesitant. He hesitated at the start. He didn't want to he didn't really want to kill him.
This, to be fair, this is a life-altering decision. Like this is going to change your life forever.
This wasn't like, he didn't just decide, oh yeah, I'm going to go kill somebody.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to eat a Mars bar. Oh, I'm going to go out and kill somebody.
It was basically like, this is where my life is going, and I don't want to do anything else but feel power in the mafia. So this is how I'm going to get in. So he shot him in the shoulder, and the guy started begging for his life, saying, don't kill me, don't kill me. And in time, so this was all in his words. He said that he closed his eyes and fired the gun 3 times into his head. And then he opened his eyes, saw the body, freaked out, and he couldn't move. He said he was paralyzed and just hesitated. He couldn't move. So after about 5 minutes of just standing there, he quickly got back on his bike and just drove off. Just left bailed. The body, just got out of there.
Fucked off out of there.
He said that night that they were celebrating, the mafia were like, yeah, we have a new guy joining us. They killed this guy. Hell yeah. He was in the bathroom vomiting out of anxiety because he can't believe he'd killed this guy.
Yeah.
So it really affected him like crazy.
Yeah.
But he said that, throughout those 11 years that he was in the mafia, he actually enjoyed it to a point where, he could go to bars, restaurants, anywhere, and he wouldn't have to pay for anything unless he wanted to. He, did anything he wanted. No one would stop him because he was part of the mafia. He was contract for hire. He always carried a gun on him. He was willing to do anything, essentially. And the money was good. He said he enjoyed the money. He had a family. He had 2 houses. He had sports cars. He said that he even got sports cars before they even hit the field. Before people could even purchase them, he was buying sports cars.
I mean, with the mafia's connections, I don't doubt that they would have somebody in Ferrari or Lamborghini in the 80s going, hey, this is a new project. Do you want to get in on this? And he'd just be like, oh, yes. Give me that brand new Lambo, boy.
Sounds fucking dope.
Yeah.
So after the 11 years, at that point he had killed about 80 people. And the last person he had killed before he was arrested was his best friend in the mafia. The mafia basically told him, look, this guy knows too much. We want you to kill him.
Because you're close to him.
Well, yeah, it was easy for him to kill him. But, mentally it wasn't easy, but physically it was easy. So one night, his friend came around and just shot him. That's pretty much what he did. He didn't want to, but it was either, basically, it came down to him or this other guy.
Yeah.
And if he didn't kill him, then they were both going to get killed.
But it's either you or me or both of us.
Yeah. So he shot his friend, and then a couple of weeks later, on the night of his arrest, he had seen a car out the front of his house. 2 mafios, I think that's what they call them. Mafiosos, or basically just people from the mafia, were sitting out the front of his house in a car with guns, basically ready to come in and kill him.
Yeah.
So he basically figured out that now the mafia wants him dead because he knows too much.
Yeah.
And only a few minutes later, the cops had busted down his door and arrested him after that. So he was actually thankful that the cops arrested him because he was basically about to get killed by the mafia.
Yeah.
And then after a year in prison, he became an informant for the police. And he had helped with over 100 convictions from there. So he had helped to put 100 people away from the mafia, which is insane.
That's a lot of people that he's helped with arresting. It's like the amount of people that he's killed, yes, but I would also wager that the amount of people he's put into prison because of being an informant should also stack up on that. So it really should be about 180 people that he's either put away or killed.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. He his whole family were given new identities and they were given a new place to live away from the mafia because they were targets, essentially.
Yeah, as they would be.
He was put in a special prison in the north of Italy for informants because obviously the mafia had ties everywhere.
Oh,
so
yeah.
this was probably the safest place he could
Wouldn't
be.
they have ties in that prison for
You would
informants?
think.
You would think so.
Yeah,
They'd be like, there's a prison up there. It's for informants.
we should get an informant.
We should get an informant in there.
But
That makes sense to me.
It seems hard to believe that they would have people in there, but obviously, I guess they did. No, they didn't.
Apparently, this was secure.
He was sentenced one life sentence. So he got one life sentence for 43 murders and 40 armed robberies. That's what he was convicted of.
Okay.
But he admitted to obviously more murders.
So he was found guilty and convicted of 40 out of the supposed 80 people that he's killed.
43 murders. Yeah, he was convicted.
43
of.
murders. Okay.
Yeah. And he was convicted of 40 armed robberies as well, which is pretty insane.
That's a lot of work for one little boy.
But so on the week of his first kill, being initiated into the mafia, into the family, they had a huge ceremony and there was a blood oath. So they pricked his finger, everything. They had a book of rules for the family, and he was beaten with it as they said the rules, and he had to it was basically like being hit with the rules, you know what I mean? And then this is pain that you're feeling with the rules. Now imagine if you break the rules. Basically the rules were like, don't talk about the kills, don't talk about the family to other people, don't talk to family members about other things that you've been told to do. It's basically keep your mouth shut, do what you're told, essentially.
Yeah. It comes down to two very simple rules. Keep your mouth shut.
And do what you're told.
Do what you're told.
Yeah. That was pretty much it. It was a huge ceremony, which was pretty insane. And then from there, he was actually due to be released today. Actually, not today. This year.
Today, fucking hell.
That'd be crazy. But no, this year, yeah, he's in his he's roughly about his early 60s or his late 50s by now, and he's supposed to be released this year, which is pretty insane. But
that is pretty insane.
He spent a lot of time in prison since I think it was like
he has
90s.
put a lot of people away as well. So that's when you go do his good deeds, and by good deeds I mean putting people into prison or helping the police catch people and put them in prison. Do they outweigh his misdeeds?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, he's killed 80 that we know of 80 people, but he's helped put away so many more people than that who potentially could have killed more people. Yeah. So I guess it's the lives
he's potentially
saved. How many people has he saved?
He's potentially saved, with 100 people being put away, thousands of lives, potentially.
Yeah, potentially. It's hard to really determine, what really consists of, being worth, what he was given, To be honest, convicted of 43 murders and 40 armed robberies and only given one life sentence.
He got off pretty light.
But he was only in prison for a year before he started ratting out the entire mafia,
I mean, in that year, he could have had mafia informants on the inside of prison try to shank him and beat him and all that sort of stuff. So you don't really know what goes on behind closed doors there.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But he was also part of one of the most well-known Sicilian court cases, which was the murder of a New York governor who came to Italy. Basically, someone from the Gambino family mafia had sent a bomb expert to Sicily to help train some of the mobsters over there in explosives and basically just explosives.
Yeah, so ballistic explosives, bloody plastics, like C4 and dynamite and all that shit.
Avola told them, the police, that this guy who was about 40 years old, brown hair, dark eyes, basically described this dude in detail. He said that the man was an explosive expert who had worked for a powerful New York gangster boss, John Gotti. He said his job was to train the mobsters and how to use 400 kilograms of TNT explosives and a remote control detonator. So to kill this guy, his name was Falcone. basically, was it Giovanni Falcone? So Giovanni Falcone was murdered with his wife and 3 other police officers on the road to the airport with 400 kilograms of TNT.
I feel like that's a bit of overkill.
That's a huge explosion. That's like, we need this guy to be dead.
We want this guy and the area around him to be fucked up.
Everything must be dead in that area. That's pretty much it.
That's a crater-inducing explosion.
Yeah, that's insane.
Jesus Christ, 400 kilos of explosives.
Yeah.
Just to kill this one dude.
Yeah.
Well, what this
one dude.
These like 5 people.
Yeah, and he was also part of a he ratted out roughly 100 people, the 100 people who were involved with a murder of a governor. He was like a magistrate. He was the magistrate court. He was the judge. Basically, he was murdered with a rifle, and he told the cops where the rifle was ditched, and even now they're still reviewing the court case. So about 7 people have now been under suspicion from this new discovery. So right now they're still doing the ballistics and the fingerprints, trying to figure out who was really involved. And yeah, like this stuff is still happening today. Like they're still figuring out this case, which was 10, 20 years ago. They're still trying to figure
almost
out
30 years ago now.
Yeah, now new evidence because of this guy who's ratting all these people out.
Yeah,
it's, I guess in a way, his sentence of only like 20 years or maybe 25 years. Because I think one life sentence is only like 25 years.
And I think it changes in depending on which country you're in. Because I think a life sentence for America is like 25 years.
Yeah, it's not that much, but I guess it's kind of like the 3 strikes you're out. If you get 3 life sentences, that's like 60, 80 years. You're going to be in there until you die, essentially.
You're going to be in there for a long time.
If you're 40 and you get a life sentence, you're going to be in there until you're like 60, 65.
Yeah.
And then you come out.
That's a big ass chunk of your life.
That's all your life, pretty much from there. It's not much coming back from there.
No, that's true. And I mean, your guy sounds very...
I mean, this guy, he didn't like killing people.
He sounded very switched on, though, from what I can gather from the information you've told me today.
Yeah, he's seen this mafia life as work. It's not like a lifestyle. In a way, it is, but he didn't see it that way. He saw it as like, this is a way to make a lot of money.
This is my job.
Don't have to go to school to learn it. This is my job. I love my family. He never did anything to his family. He seemed like a regular dude who just worked for the mafia and killed people and robbed people.
It's just
for the work.
It was okay doing it on company time.
Yeah,
when I'm off company time, it's my time.
Yeah,
there's a standard working man.
Yeah,
to a degree.
To a degree.
On the flip side.
On the flip side
of the same coin,
your guy
is Richard Kuklinski, who was known as the Iceman. He's said to have killed over 200 people, which is a significant increase in the body count for Kuklinski. His entire life is just it's brutal, filled with a lot of brutality, a lot of abuse, a lot of death. But we'll get into that in a second. To start out with, Richard Kuklinski was born in Jersey City in New Jersey on April 11th in 1935 to his father, who was a Polish immigrant and a bit of a drinker from the sounds of it, and his mother, who was a Catholic, but she was from a hyper religious family of Irish Catholics.
Irish Catholics, in the 50s, 60s, they're pretty intense.
I mean, this is before the 50s and 60s. This is 30s.
That's like when they just started immigrating into into England and then to America.
Yeah, like Catholicism is quite a strict section of Christianity. I know of that sort of religion, but apparently this was another step up. So, I mean, he was bullied at a young age because his parents were immigrants. Obviously, being in New Jersey, that's in America. So he was called names. He was abused by his parents too, from a very young age. Being one of 4 children, he got kind of a quarter of the beatings that would normally happen to serial killers mostly.
Yeah.
But his dad was especially abusive to the kids, and apparently killed one of his brothers after hitting him too hard. And the family covered it up by saying that he'd fallen down a flight of stairs.
So his dad basically beat his brother to death.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Got absolutely hammered one night and beat his own son to death, which is that's fucked up.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy.
That's fucked up. Apparently, his mother wouldn't just stand to the side or try to protect her kids. She'd join in on the physical abuse, on the emotional abuse, but would often just leave to go to their local church to pray for their family.
Yeah, well, I guess she probably felt like there was nothing else she could do. It was either join in and not get beaten myself, or get killed, or go to church and just hope God will.
Yeah, and pray to the highest form of power that I possibly can think of to help me. You know, she sounded very desperate to have some have some safety for herself and for her kids. But I mean, going to a Catholic school for Richard was apparently very hard. Yeah. He was the class clown, so he'd fuck around and tell jokes and pull pranks. This led to the continuation of bullying at school. And the nuns and the priests in the school would often beat him for being the class clown. Yeah. Often with metal canes, which sound very painful.
Like metal canes, wooden rulers and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
but wooden rulers hurt enough as it is.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck. Imagine a metal one of those just spanking.
Oh, yes, like
those
the metal rulers that
just pull them back, just But yeah, that's like, again, going back to being at the Catholic school, I feel like this is not an outlier for how kids in this day were in that time were treated, especially by the Catholic system. But we're not getting into that. Richard started out taking his anger out on small animals, as a lot of serial killers start.
It's find something that is helpless against me, and then I will torture it
and I will kill it. So he did that for stray dogs and cats.
Finding power where you can.
Yeah, exactly. But that wasn't enough for him. So he turned then to burglarizing people. So he'd mug people, he'd break into their homes and beat them and steal their shit. Yeah. And all while he's still getting bullied. And this new group that came up to him when he moved to a new neighborhood, they were called the Project Boys, which is a weird name for a gang.
Project.
I'm from the Project Boys. I don't understand these names. They started bullying and harassing him, which at this point was a bad idea, because a few months later, Richard ended up killing the leader of the Project Boys by beating him to death with a closet pole.
Well, yeah, you got to find a weapon where you can, man. A closet pole is not a bad choice.
It's not a bad choice. I mean, that's pretty fucking sturdy.
It's pretty good.
But like, basically cave this guy's head in with the closet pole.
Yeah, this dude's like, what, 18?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even. He was maybe 15, 16.
15, 16, yeah.
So he's mid to early teens.
He's already killed somebody. Yeah.
So this is when he switched, right? So his first kill, unlike Evola, he felt powerful. He felt in control. It made him. It gave him a rush. It made him feel really, really good about himself. He ended up stealing a car, driving it for 2 hours to dump this boy's body. Yeah. Ended up really, really cutting this boy up. So he took teeth out. I'm guessing most, if not all of them. He's ripped teeth out.
Yeah.
And removed this boy's hands, and then dumped him into it says a pool. I'm thinking a pond.
A pond, yeah, somewhere where more than likely you won't find the body.
He took him to a park, carried the body up and onto a bridge, and then dumped it into this body of water. Yeah. So I'm thinking it's a pond.
I mean, once you take the hands and the teeth, it's going to be hard to really identify somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's obviously thought about it as a 15-year-old.
It's been premeditated. He's like, okay,
He's like, look, I'm gonna beat this dude to death, and this is how I'm gonna get away with it.
yeah, it was like he's now starting to switch into serial killer sort of territory.
Yeah.
And this is when he started a gang of his own, which he called the Coming Up Roses. I mean, take what you want from that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it sounds like a bunch of virgins to me. But yeah.
Probably is a bunch of virgins. But
Coming Up Roses.
I mean, we're from the Coming Up Roses. Don't mess with us.
Yes, we're all virgins.
Oh man, I can't believe we're making jokes about people.
Like, this guy's dead, so he can't hurt us.
This guy is dead. So Richard Kuklinski died in 2006, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But his gang, the Coming Up Roses, was sort of a Robin Hood-esque gang. So they'd steal from...
He just robbed a lot of rich people.
He robbed a lot of the wealthy. He robbed warehouses and stores and
But he kept the money.
He kept the money. So he didn't give it to anybody. He just kept the money. So that's why I said Robin Hood style gang. So he'd steal from the rich, but keep it.
Well, I mean, he's poor, so I guess.
Yeah. He was pretty poor, obviously, being the son of two immigrants.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something. But when he formed this gang, he was starting to do car hijackings, like stealing cars, doing more robberies, more racketeering, that sort of thing. And that brought the attention of the Di Cavalcante family, who was a Italian mob in New Jersey.
Yep.
Obviously. So he was introduced to the family, started doing hits and hijackings for them in their name. And this was when one of the members of the family ordered him to kill the other members of the Coming Up Roses. I think there was about 3 or 4 of these guys.
So basically, like, you got to kill your own gang if you want to join us.
Yeah, so we've recognised your proficiency in what you do for us. We want you to kill your gang, and you'll be a fully fledged member of this family.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. I don't have any information on how he did it. I assume it was with a gun.
Assume it's just, hey bro, come to my house.
Yeah, come to my house. I'm the leader of your gang. Come to my house, and then bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Just killed them. But by the 1950s, right? So we're fast forwarding. He's now mid-20s, early 20s. He's now notorious in Jersey City, and he would attack anyone that looked at him the wrong way. So he'd either attack them with his fists and beat them, or he'd pull out a knife that he often carried with him, or even his .38 revolver. He would more often than not kill the homeless and drunkards on his way home from parties, or just walking down the street. He'd see this homeless guy and think he's not worth it, not worth living.
Yeah.
He'd drag him somewhere and kill him. So this guy is crazy. He's now taking enjoyment from the killing.
Yeah.
So this is when I think we differentiate between Evola and Kuklinski.
Yeah, the Kuklinski kind of just sounds like a guy who'd grown up without any sense of power or being able to do anything he wants. He's been beaten all of his life. So now he's like, okay, I'm gonna turn the table now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick the shit out of whoever I want.
Yeah, nobody is going to wrong me.
Exactly.
His
mum betrayed him. His dad betrayed him. His teachers betrayed him. Basically, everyone in his childhood.
Every role model in his life has turned out to be a betrayal of his trust, because he's either been beaten by them.
Abused him,
yeah, he's been physically abused by them, emotionally or mentally abused by them.
Yeah.
So now he's had enough. He's turning the tables around. He's going, right, this is my time to take my own power. This is where I find my power.
Yeah.
Instead of with the money and with doing what you want, well, to a certain extent, doing what you want, like not having to pay for food or whatever.
Yeah.
Kuklinski would rather take lives as what he wants.
Yeah, no, Evola didn't want to just take lives whenever you want. Killing people stuck to his mind. He, to this day, he still says he has nightmares every night about the people who he's killed. Yeah.
Whereas Kuklinski became a hitman for the mafia. He was very proficient at what he would do. Normally, he would dispose of bodies in car junkyards.
Yep.
So cars that are ready to be crushed. He'd put the bodies in, they'd crush the car, it'd be sent out with the scrap metal, none the wiser.
Yep.
Or he'd put the bodies in caves, deep in the woods, in the forests. So around New Jersey, that's northwestern America. So there's bears around there. So delicious dead human. Here we go. Num num num. I'll take that. Who's been sleeping in my cave? Ooh. Oh, he's dead.
This body's just the right size.
Yeah. Oh man, we should stop probably joking around, because this is when it gets brutal.
Serious.
This is when it gets brutal, all right? So at one point he was asked to, or he was told rather, to kill a lawyer in one of the most brutal ways possible.
It tends to be a thing with the mafia. It's like, hey, look, this lawyer's
speaking out against us. Let's off him. But the DiCavalcante family wanted Kuklinski to inflict as much pain as he possibly could. So he tied him to a tree in the middle of the woods after kidnapping him.
Yeah.
And he used a shovel to literally beat this man's bones to dust.
Yeah, so
essentially
basically just destroyed his legs.
Causing extraordinary pain, obviously, because he's conscious for this whole thing. But then used a hatchet to cut off each and every one of his fingers, one by one, which apparently was not enough for him, because then he decapitated the man and brought the head of this poor soul to the head of the family, or the person that ordered the hit.
Brought the head to the head.
Which, I mean,
to be fair,
gets your point across, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But to be fair, some guy said, "Hey, go kill this guy for me," and he came back with his head. I'd be like, dude, that's fucking evidence. Get that shit out of here, man. I don't know you right now. Go.
Yeah, fuck.
It's pretty rough.
Like, it's pretty rough.
It's insane to really think that, like, if you think about yourself, would you be able to do that to somebody? Like, if you really think about it, like,
I don't think so.
They're going to be screaming. Yeah. There's going to be, blood everywhere.
It's going to be
intense.
It's going to be, it's not going to be very pleasant.
For this guy to just be able to do that and then not lose any sleep over it, that's probably even the hardest thing is,
I think
afterwards, so too. How does that affect you? And I guess for him, it just doesn't.
It apparently didn't, because he was, by the 60s, so about 10 years after he started killing for the mafia, he had a death toll of 65.
Yeah.
Which is not as large as Evola's body count.
Yeah.
In about the same sort of time. But at this time, work is starting to get slow for Kuklinski. He's not getting as many contracts. He, the head of the DiCavalcante family has now been assassinated.
Yeah.
So really, he's
lost all of his work now.
He's got to cut ties to the family. He's got to stop working for them. He's got to find his own way. And so he took up a job in a trucking company, where he met this woman called Barbara Pedrici, who he dated and quickly became obsessed with her. And
ooh, unlucky Barbara.
I know. I feel really bad for Barbara, because she seems like a genuinely nice person, or she seemed like a genuinely nice person. Because she felt bad for him, because the boss of the trucking company actually fired him for talking to Barbara on work time.
Yeah.
So that's when they started dating. He then became unhealthily obsessed with her, which is where the problems sort of start now.
Well, more unhealthy than he already was.
So for the most part of his life, Richard is dealing with prostitutes and women that are willing to use their body to get whatever they want.
Yeah.
So he doesn't respect them. He doesn't feel that they are worthy, that they're unclean, they're full of sin, because he's Catholic.
Like your mum.
We gotta remember. Sounds like your mum, motherfucker. Get out of it. But yeah, she like I said, she sounds like a genuinely nice person. However, she confronted him about being possessive, not letting her see friends on her own.
Yeah.
And they were sort of having an argument about this, and she turned around and he stabbed her in the back of her left shoulder, and warned her that, or rather, I should say, threatened her.
Yeah, threatened is a better
That
word,
if she spoke out about how he was at home, he would kill her family. So
basically, do what I say or I'll murder your entire family.
yeah, that's essentially what he's saying, and I feel really bad for her.
It's impossible to think about like what it'd be like to be in that kind of situation with somebody
Yeah.
who, you know, you've thought, okay, I'm gonna try and be with this person. I kind of feel sorry for them, you know.
Yeah,
Get close with this person,
when you draw the line,
but then you're like, hey, no, I want to do my own thing. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna stab you, and then you do what I say, or I'll kill everyone you know. And
Yeah.
then it's like, well, now
I've got no choice.
you've got no choice. You
Yeah.
have no power. You have nothing. You have to do what they say. Otherwise, you know, living in constant fear is
Yeah,
it's
not
not a
fun.
life.
but regardless, Barbara did it,
Oof,
and she became pregnant with one of
Oof.
Richard's children, but she ended up miscarrying after she was locked outside for smoking. So Richard caught her smoking and just locked her outside the entire night in the middle of winter, and so she miscarried. So another body to add to the count, which is pretty fucked up.
It's pretty fucked.
This is all while he was still married to his first wife, whom he had 2 children with.
Yeah.
So he's already married. He's having this separate life with Barbara. He ended up divorcing his first wife not long after this first miscarriage with Barbara, and ended up marrying Barbara as well. But she miscarried once again, and that's when Richard started hitting her with just hitting her in general,
Yeah.
but in front of her family.
Yeah.
So this is when he's starting not to care about respecting his in-laws at all.
Well,
he's
I
just-
mean, to be able to threaten them to a, you know.
I mean,
death, it's
that's still
I
to
don't
an
think he ever
extent.
really cared about them.
No, that's true, but to an extent, that's behind their back, so they don't know about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. True.
But then beating their loved one in front of them,
Yeah.
and on one occasion, she actually had her nose broken by Kuklinski in one of his fits of rage. So he's being extraordinarily brutal, both
Yeah.
at home and in work. They eventually had a daughter, whose name I will keep under wraps, because I feel they would much prefer to be
Yeah. Yeah.
a private, as it were. So then Richard started turning back to crime. He started pirating illegal porn and importing it into the country. Be whatever illegal porn is.
Yeah. Well, let's not get into that. But that's.
I
Yeah,
don't have any experience with illegal
Let's
porn,
leave
and I
that
don't
to
want to.
the imagination.
It sounds brutal and unnecessary.
Yeah.
But he would also hijack trucks and cars. He would went back to thievery and burglary. And that's when he got into contact with the Gambino family,
Yeah.
who was mentioned in your...
Yeah, they sent an explosive expert to Italy.
Yes, so
Yes.
this same family had contract killers in America, and in the New Jersey state,
Mhm.
they had a man called Roy DeMeo, who was the head of contract killing there. So he started doing mob hits again for him, and some of his methods were very brutal. But his home life, he continued to abuse Barbara. But at this time he had 3 kids, so 2 daughters and a son.
Yep.
But he would not lay a hand on them in violence. So
Yeah.
he was sort of trying to be better than his father, but still
Yeah,
couldn't
he's-
help.
He's built this whole persona of like children are, you know, untouchable. I'm not going to hurt them
Yeah.
because they're innocent. But any adult, you know, any male adult is fair game for
Is fair
whatever I
game.
want.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently, while he was out doing these hits for the mafia, he was for the most part a decent enough father.
Yeah.
So he would dote on his kids endlessly. He would buy them whatever they wanted without question.
You want a train, Timmy? I buy you a
I'll
train.
buy you a train,
I'll
Timmy.
give you a little Thomas the Tank Engine.
Do you want a horse, little girl? I'll give you a horse. That sounded creepier than it needed to be.
I don't think that's what he said.
No, he probably didn't say that. He's dead. What do I care?
Okay.
But yeah, he was trying to be a good dad. He was trying to be a good husband.
Yeah.
He would host barbecues at his place as well.
That doesn't sound like a good time.
Don't jump on that train too quickly.
That's not a sizzle I want to go to.
It's a sizzle that I would feel obliged to go to.
Yeah, but why didn't you come to the barbecue?
Hey man, the Kuklinskis are hosting a barbecue down the road, man. We have to go.
No, I'm not going, man. I won't do it. I won't do it.
We have to go. There is no choice. We have to go. Just be nice.
Yeah.
We'll fuck off by 8 o'clock. It'll be fine.
I'll tell him why you didn't come. Like, whoa.
So yeah, obviously this man is very scary, and I should probably mention also that he's a very imposing man. So he's 6'5", so the same height as I am.
He's a big dude.
But he was muscular. He was built like a fucking truck.
But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna hang people upside down, you know.
Like the dude was like Terry Crews, if Terry Crews was a Polish immigrant murderer, yeah, instead of just a fun-loving bodybuilder.
Shout out to Terry Crews.
Shout out Terry Crews. But we should during these kills he would change his method. So he'd use poison for one kill and then move on to like dismembering a body in the most brutal way possible, to then strangulation, to drowning, to all these kinds of methods. One of his favorites apparently was to tie a person up in a cave, seal the cave off, and let rats eat the person alive while they're tied up.
Man, if you don't want to get your hands dirty, you know, you just gotta rat them out, and then that
was the worst joke we've tried to pose here at all. Apparently he would also film this procedure as well from start to finish, which to me indicates he's really enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel like it's like a trophy, you know. It's like,
yeah,
I like this. I'm gonna watch this back at home.
Yeah, have a look at this.
Have a
this
little
is
family night, movie night. You know, we're gonna watch something.
Hey kids, look what your dad did this week at work.
This is the first version of Ratatouille.
This is a very early cut of Ratatouille.
This is the first Disney version of Ratatouille.
You just see one rat just stand up with a chunk of human, look around, nibble on it a little bit, and just...
It's like the start of Ratatouille where he's eating the weird mushroom.
Yeah.
He's like,
it's just sampling
the
human
flavors.
Human.
Long pig.
Yeah, fucking hell. But another thing that Richard would do is he would freeze bodies in big chest freezers or in cold rooms so that he can mask the time of death.
Yeah.
So hence his nickname, which was the Iceman.
You'd think the Iceman would be someone who deals ice.
You'd think so, but this man was cold. He froze people to mask the time of death.
It's like that guy who would kill people with icicles because the metal weapon would just
Mate, Frozone.
Frozone.
Yeah.
He's a superhero. He doesn't kill people, man.
You don't know that.
I feel like I could look back on the lore of The Incredibles and find out.
I'm saying he could be a villain in Incredibles 3 plotline.
Yeah, if he can find his super suit.
Yeah, that's true. All right, but anyway, we'll get back onto this.
Yeah,
in 1983, the FBI are starting to get under the tail of Roy DeMeo, who was the head of killings.
30 years later.
This actually was about 10 years after he started back in the mafia.
Okay, yep.
So in the 60s, he was starting to run out of contracts in the mid to late 60s. 70s roll through, and he's at this trucking company, meets Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're moving late 70s. He starts back up at with the Gambino family for contract killing, and then gets his nickname, the Iceman, in this time as well. And then in 1983, so after all of this, Richard kills Roy DeMeo because obviously he knows too much. He's been tracked by the FBI. There's a lot of shit that's about to go down here.
It's time
to nip it at the bud.
To cut some loose ends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this comes back to his weird sense of justice, I think, because he would kill lots of child abusers.
Yeah.
And rapists. So there's a story of him coming across two men raping this little boy. He kills both of them on the spot by almost cutting their heads off with his blade.
Yeah.
There's another story of him having a contract to kill a rapist, takes the rapist to his abandoned dock, cuts off his genitals, fillets him, disembowels him, and while he's still alive, throws him into the ocean in the hopes that sharks would eat him. Which, I mean...
It's a pretty rough way to go.
That's a pretty rough way to go.
That's a lot of effort to go into killing somebody, you know, so he's obviously got... And you can tell because of his parents, you know, his father and all that, you can tell that this is definitely...
his...
has imprinted him from a child, you know.
Yeah.
And I could probably assume that, you know, when he went to the Catholic schools, he was probably abused sexually there as well.
I mean,
I'll assume.
I didn't want to say that, but I think it's more or less implied. At some point,
this guy's been abused sexually by
possibly
some other men, you know.
Possibly, which would lead me to think that that's why he wants to kill child abusers and rapists and pedophiles. Yeah. But you know,
those are also people who would take power from children, which is basically his entire childhood was just. Him being this object. Yeah,
exactly. But at the same time, he would often refuse to kill women unless they had also killed themselves or they had done a serious misdeed. So he had this weird, twisted sense of justice, which I think, like you said, was imprinted on him at a young age. But the weirdest part about it was that his brother was accused and convicted of raping and killing a 12-year-old girl during this time when he's in the mafia. So he then despises his brother and doesn't end up killing him, from what I've heard. But also, like, you would not want to be facing this man's wrath.
You would feel like his brother would be smart enough to keep his distance.
Yeah, you'd think so. You'd think he's either in prison or he's as far away as humanly
somewhere
possible.
Probably where he can't get him, you know.
Yeah, exactly. This leads us to 1986, where the FBI are onto Richard Kuklinski, and they set up a sting where he was going to buy some poison for a contract that he was going to carry out.
Yeah.
So they set up the sting, they run the sting, it's successful, he buys the poison, he drives off, the money's exchanged. They then pull him over at a roadblock about 2 hours later and find guns, knives, the aforementioned poison, all in his car. So
he's him red-handed.
Obviously arrested like straight away.
What's in the boot, mate?
Straight to prison.
It's like, not much, just
just the use.
Just some work tools, man. You know, just off to work.
Finds fucking everything under the sun and a spider.
Yeah, the spider. You see the spider, mate?
You see the spider, mate? Shout out to Big Les Show. In the court case, this court case seems quite lengthy because it took 2 years to convict him and find him guilty.
He was pretty good at disposing bodies.
He was, and the thing is, he was only charged and convicted of 5 murders out of the 200 that he himself has claimed, and that other mafiosos, I should say, have claimed that he has killed. So only 5 of those people.
5, yeah.
He was found guilty of 2.
My guy was convicted of 43.
Yeah, but we have reliable sources for Kuklinski saying no, he killed like 200 people
he's
plus.
He's killed more than that.
He's killed way more than 5 people. So he was sentenced to consecutive life sentences, and he would have been eligible eligible for parole at 110 years old.
It's so weird, the justice system in, you know, these different countries. It's like this guy who has obviously killed way more people than the hitman that I was talking about. But, you know, he was convicted of how many?
5.
5. And he's not getting out till he's 110. My guy's like, all right, I killed 43, you know, but I'll help you out too.
But yeah, at the same time, your guy helped people out. Richard would not. No. He did not.
He's like, you know what? I'm going to be here till the end. So,
and he didn't do himself any favors in prison, because in 2003, while he was still in there, he pled guilty to murdering a detective, which added another 30 years onto his sentence. So this stacks up to the amount of convictions to 6 victims that he's been convicted of. Then in March 5th, 2006, Richard Kuklinski passed away from supposed natural causes. He claims about 2 or 3 weeks before his death that the guards were refusing to give him medication and that somebody had poisoned him. So maybe it was the mafia cleaning up a loose end. Maybe it was just
the guards.
Maybe it was just the guards thinking, no, you've killed too many people, you need to die.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in the most roundabout way possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the life and tribulations of Richard Kuklinski.
It's crazy, man.
These guys are, like, both of the people that we talked about were ruthless, notorious, deadly people. Obviously, one of them being more unwilling than the other.
One of them being crazy, and one of them being relatively sane.
Relatively sane for a killer.
Yeah.
So this is where we end the Hitman saga.
Yeah.
This is where we stop talking about Hitman, start talking about weird phobias.
But I hope you guys enjoyed that.
I
found it interesting learning about Alva. It's crazy.
I find it very interesting finding out about the mentality of killers, like the psychology behind them, what makes them who they are.
Yeah.
Or what makes them become who they are. And it's not always the same thing. You know, there are.
Yeah, I would feel that they all get into it for different reasons, but the more intense, crazy ones always start off with some kind of child abuse. You know, like they start off rough and they end rough. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to find people who, you know, go through the first 10, 12 years of their life with nothing but pain and suffering to end it without that.
Yeah, it's part of their development. It's going to be part of their life for life.
Well, it's like the first. I mean, we're learning every day, you know, as you grow, but you're so susceptible as a kid. You know, for the first 10, 15 years of your life, you know.
You're taught what's supposed to be normal.
Yeah, what's right and wrong kind of goes out the window when your brother gets murdered in front of you and your family covers it up for you. You know, it's
exactly.
Insane.
It's pretty rough, but I think we should start to lighten things
up. All right, guys. Phobias revealed and explained. Okay, so we're gonna flip through the book at a random page, and we're gonna read out the first thing that we see. Okay.
All right.
So
go for it.
Here we go. All right. So I've got. All right. So this is the phobia of the opposite sex.
Oh God, this is a fear that you have a lot, Michael.
This is heterophobia.
Heterophobia.
So, hetero is the Greek word for other, while sex is the Latin word for division. So, it explains these fears of the opposite sex and the modern usage of heterosexual. So, basically, if you're heterosexual, you're scared of the opposite sex, or you have a phobia.
Not particularly. It's just this. I feel like this is just explaining where the name comes from. Rather, like it's a fear of the opposite sex. I don't know if. People who are scared of talking to girls.
Heterophobia is the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So heterophobia, I feel, is when you're scared to even talk or look at the other sex.
It's probably when the other sex gives you anxiety to the point where you avoid or can't, you know, communicate with and all that kind of stuff. You know? All right, your turn.
My turn.
All right.
Let's see what we got.
All right. Some freaky images.
Some freaky.
In this book
you're seeing this clown face
this
on
freaky
here.
Clown.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the fear of clowns because that's a common thing.
No, I'm scared.
There is a fear of bums or beggars, which is called hobophobia.
Hobophobia.
Apparently, there's no Greek or Latin word to explain the origin of this phobia of tramps and beggars. However, the term probably derives from the American vernacular hobo, meaning vagrant, meaning homeless person.
Yeah, homeless. So it's the fear of
so it's the fear of homeless people. I don't know.
Just walking down. I don't know how that works. Like,
walking down the street, you see this guy begging for change. You go,
you just run away screaming. Like,
he doesn't have a social security number.
Get out of here! He doesn't have a home. All right. I'm gonna flick through. All right, here we go. I've got speaking aloud, voices, and telephones. Phonophobia.
Phonophobia.
The fear of noise, both self-created and externally inflicted, finds its roots in the Greek word phono, meaning sound or voice. From this base, we get such words as phonetics and telephone. So it's the fear of noise, like loud speaking noises, either from yourself or from other people.
So it's the fear of being spoken to.
Yeah,
or speaking.
Yeah. Imagine like you just say something and then you freak out because you just said something.
And you continue to freak out because you're freaking out.
It's what about like internal
snowball
voice,
effect.
Your internal voice in your head.
I don't know if that counts as a voice because it's not actually being spoken.
Well, it said internal and external.
It did say internal? Oh, okay, then.
Sure
It might
Wait,
be.
I'm going to find it again.
Good luck.
Oh, no, I found it.
Oh, damn it.
Sorry. This fear of noise, both self-created, so it's noise, yeah.
So it's noise, okay.
Yeah, you speaking and other people speaking, or just creating noise.
Just like this, clapping. Just freaks you out.
You couldn't even tell them to stop because he'd freak out even more.
That sounds like a very debilitating fear, I'm not going to lie.
All right, find another one.
Oh, here's a good one. Right. The fear of ventriloquist dummies or wax statues is called automatonophobia.
Yeah, my nana has that. Any like marionette dolls freaks her out. It's intense. Dolls. She said that when she was young, like when she had dolls as a kid, she would always tuck them into their beds so tight so that they couldn't get out if they would move. Like she fully freaked out with her dolls.
I mean, to a certain extent I understand this because
I've seen Poltergeist. I know.
Yeah. You've seen Annabelle. You know what the go is.
We know what's going on.
Although there is no direct Greek or Latin word for this yet again, for the word automaton, it is interesting to note that the Greek word auto means directed from the inside, which could be why the fear of ventriloquist dummies is included in this, because they are controlled from inside the puppet.
Yeah.
So that makes a bit of sense to me.
All right, random. Here we go.
Random page, good sir. ASMR.
Here we go.
Book page turning.
All right, I've got. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. Young girls or virgins? Mate, that's a good one.
It's specifically young girls or virgins.
It says young girls or virgins, so it's called parthenophobia.
Parthenophobia.
Partho, the Greek word for virgin, explains the origins of this term. So sufferers of this phobia cannot stand to be in the company of young girls. Okay.
I mean, I found it a fucking struggle to be in the company of young girls when I was a teenager. So
yeah, being around you was pretty rough.
Fuck you.
That's pretty intense. Being scared of virgins.
Imagine if you're Muslim in Al Qaeda and you're promised 52 virgins when you die. You would not want to die.
Live forever. That's hilarious. All right, your turn.
Oh, I'm still laughing about my terrorist joke. That's funny. All right. Here we go. All right. What are we going here? Right. The fear of stairs or climbing stairs.
Well, depending on how many stairs there are, like how many steps, yeah, I'd be scared of them too.
This is true, but it just says stairs or climbing stairs.
You know, I've always had something against stairs, you know, because they're always up to something.
You fucking suck. That was not a good joke.
That's where my phobia comes from. They're always up to something.
Well, your phobia is called climacophobia. Say
Sounds
that
like a
3
venereal
times.
disease.
It does.
I'm not gonna lie.
Climacophobia. Hey, have you got the climmer?
I got the climac. Have you got it? Why would get yourself tested?
Yeah. It's literally got no origin of the words of the word climaco in Greek or Latin. It's just a word.
It's just a word.
Just a word that we made up.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Ingenuity.
Original thought.
All right. I've got
Table of contents.
this is all being poisoned, toxiphobia,
I feel like that's a rational fear.
or toxophobia, or toxicophobia, delivered from the Greek word tox, meaning poison. This phobia also can apply to the dread of poisoning others.
Oh. Okay.
That's a general rule. I'd be scared of poisoning other people.
I'd be scared of poisoning
Yeah.
other people. Maybe we have toxophobia.
I don't want to get poisoned, but I don't look at everything that I eat and go, there's probably poison in that. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to eat that.
I mean, this is probably true. I've got nothing else to say to that.
All right. We'll go to the next one.
I got nothing for you, man. There's no funny insights here. All right. So there is there's the fear of sun, of the sun,
Of the sun.
or of sunlight. It's called heliophobia.
I think that's where the virgins are scared of.
What, the sun?
The sun, yeah. They stay indoors all day.
No, that's gamers.
Yeah, virgins. The same thing, man.
Sometimes not.
It's true.
But anyway,
It's not true.
this aversion to sunlight originates in meaning from the Greek word helio, meaning sun. Phobics of this disorder often fear contracting skin cancer from exposure. And it's a related phobia is dermatosiophobia, which is a fear of skin disease. I feel like it has something to do with dermatology.
Goes back to Ebola, I guess.
Or cancer in general.
Yeah. Gotta get me that melanoma. Kidding. I don't
Tanning
want
is your skin cells in trauma.
All right. Flip. Skibidi pop. Here we go. All right, I've got crossing streets. Oh, that must be rough.
Oh, dude.
How do you
Can you imagine?
You're just stuck on the one block going in just like a circle.
I can't cross that street, man. I can't do it.
Close my eyes. Okay, so it's argyrophobia or dromophobia. So there is no Greek or Latin word that can explain the origin, but it finds the origin of its meaning in drome, the Greek word, the race course. So it's,
like a velodrome.
yeah, so dromophobia. So basically, yeah, it's a fear of crossing streets.
Well, shit. There you go.
That's weird.
It's such
That's
a weird
thing, you know, like.
It's a weird
I
thing to
don't
be
know.
irrationally scared of. You know what I mean? But then again, all of these phobias are
They seem
weird
pretty
things
irrational. Yeah.
to be irrationally scared of. I think we're gonna wrap it up with these last two ones.
Yep.
Um,
We'll mention some of the fears that we were sent in as well.
Yes, we will. So did you want to start off with that, and then we'll?
Yeah. So we had someone message in say that they're scared that when they go to the doctor that they're gonna find cancer on them. Like every time they go to the doctor, they think cancer is gonna be coming up somewhere in the conversation, like dead set. And I was like, you can't be serious. Like, nah, every time.
Every single time.
I think they've got cancer, which
All right.
that I don't know. That's a weird fear.
That is kind of a weird fear, I feel.
Yeah.
I know somebody else sent in another message saying that they were deathly afraid of cockroaches.
Yeah,
Could be in the same
cockroaches,
room
yeah.
as them.
That was. I feel like a lot of people have that. Like that's.
I feel like that's less of a irrational fear and more of a fear of potential diseases or sicknesses that could be carried by the insects.
But at the same time, cockroaches are one of the cleanest insects in the world.
Yeah, we do have to emphasize that cockroaches, when they come into contact with humans, will
They're-
immediately isolate themselves and clean themselves.
They're like, you guys are nasty.
Yeah, they think that we are disgusting.
Yeah.
So, tit for tat, motherfuckers. Anyway, we're gonna wrap up with these last two phobias. I've got one here called the fear of crosses or the crucifix. So if you're a vampire, you have storophobia.
This is a bad time for you.
Yeah, exactly. So the word storo is the Greek word for cross-like or upright, and provides us with the root of this term. So it's just a fear of crosses or the crucifix. It's as basic as that.
That would be rough.
If you're a Satanist, if you're a vampire, be very afraid. Be very, very afraid.
All right, so the last one. I'm gonna select this one. I'm not gonna go random because I saw this earlier and I thought it was hilarious. So let me just quickly find it.
Hit me with it.
It was. It was pretty good. Here it is. All right, so this is the fear of semen. It's called spermophobia. It's brilliant, guys. It's hilarious. So it's the.
Is this the fear of just semen in general, or is it like...
it's the unfortunate anxiety over one's own semen. It's derived from the Latin word spermo, meaning seed. But it apparently can relate to general fear of germs as well.
Oh man. Why would you be scared of semen?
Oh god.
I mean,
I can just imagine being home at like the age of 13, having this fear, and then discovering your own body and seeing this, and then freaking the fuck out, and then just running away from your own mess. You probably couldn't even like clean it up. You'd be like, "No, I'm not touching that. That's nasty."
Holy crap! Is it just like the fear of your own semen, or is it in general semen?
I feel like it's the fear of semen, just sperm. You just don't want to be near that stuff. No.
I mean, to a certain extent, I can understand it.
Hold up. One more, guys. One more.
You can't go away from this page, can you?
The fear of an erection.
We are so mature, guys.
This is hilarious.
All right, what's this fear of an erection called?
Oh, hold up. It's called metamalacuphobia. So, yeah, it's basically the fear of getting an erection or losing an erection.
Jesus.
Imagine losing one. You'd have to, like, first time you do it, you have to pop it, like, Viagra every couple hours to keep that thing going.
Jesus. Fuck that. Oh, yeah, these are my daily pills. Why does it say Viagra on it?
Mate, I feel like after...
No reason.
After, yeah.
Shut your mouth.
You'd be struggling with some heart problems after a while.
I feel like, yeah, you would be.
Jesus.
Fucking hell.
All right. We'll end it on that one. That was pretty hilarious.
I feel like we kind of have to end it on that one.
All right.
So
well,
don't have a fear of erections.
No, don't.
I also want to end on some good news. As of time of recording, which is the 21st of April 2020, Queensland has recorded no new cases of coronavirus at all over the past weekend. So well done, guys. We are flattening the curve.
Yep.
We're getting it away. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing a great job. Subscribe. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram.
Follow us on Podbean. If you're already listening on Podbean, welcome.
Say hello to the Podbean viewers last.
And yeah, thank you for sticking around and listening to us talk shit.
Talk shit, yeah, that's all we do. Anyway.
See you guys next week.
See ya.